We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scholars of Wrestling Show, episode 488. I'm your man behind the microphone and your current reigning Scholars of Wrestling world champion. I am Scholar Jeff. Joining us this week in the studio, as always, the OG Undisputed Scholar himself. You know him, you love him. He smells like freshly grilled pancakes. He is the one and only Scholar Tarek. Scholar Tarek, how you feeling tonight, sir?
Now I'm just getting hungry for some pancakes. It's like, oh, smelling like pancakes? Yeah. All right,
Smelling
let's
like
go.
them
It's
pancakes.
never it's never too late for breakfast.
Damn right. And speaking of tasty little morsels, also joining us is my tag team partner, the one, the only, resembles more of a nice smoky eggs Benedict. He is Scholar Pete. Scholar Pete, how's life treating you, my tag team partner?
As I live and breathe. It is treating me so well, my tag team partner. And I just want to say the belt looks extra great on you today. I've done such a great job. But I
Oh,
mean,
please, you already got your tag team. You already got your title shot coming up. You know what? You can see it's kissing my ass. It's not mandatory, but it is greatly appreciated. Continue.
listen, I mean, we are the JMP connection. Another thing that I created, and that makes me 2-0, but who's counting? I mean, I'm ready to talk to you gentlemen, even Scholar Talk. I'm ready to talk to you about all things wrestling. And I'm ready to go in and talk to you about Raw and everything in between with all the news.
Indeed. And on that delightful note, as this year in wrestling is very, very close to wrapping up, we have a lot to talk about, both in the ring and outside of the ring, in a little segment we like to call Backstage News.
Indeed, we shall go ahead once again, as always, peek behind that curtain and be like, oh yeah, look at that. We got some backstage news. Backstage news!
News.
News!
News,
News! News!
News.
News!
news.
Brian, we wish you were here, Matt. But yes, this week in backstage news, there were quite some happenings in the world of professional wrestling. Not all of it good, unfortunately, as it was just confirmed earlier, I believe today, that Rey Mysterio Sr., who is technically the uncle of the Rey Mysterio Jr. that we all know, has unexpectedly passed away. And not too long after the passing of Rey Mysterio Jr.'s actual father. So it seems like our Rey Mysterio has lost his uncle and his actual birth father in the span of about 2 weeks. Absolutely a heavy, heavy loss for the world of professional wrestling and for the Mysterio family as it is.
I mean, there's really not much else you could say. I never grew up with Rey Mysterio Sr., so I can't really, as we normally do, like looking back at a wrestler's career after they passed. I don't have that history with him to be like, oh, I remember his matches at this particular point. But it's just still like he's well known in like the AAA community. So I really wish I could be more like, I guess, enthusiastic about what he brought to professional wrestling, but it's on account of just like what I know and how he is Rey Mysterio Jr.'s uncle, and just losing him after losing his father last month. It is very tragic, and all that's really left that I can say is just my condolences to the Mysterio family, Ray, Dom, uh, fuck, his daughter's name?
Oh,
Aaliyah?
Aaliyah, yes.
I'm terrible with names. But to the
Hey,
entire Mysterio family, I send out my condolences and love to them.
Yeah, one reason in particular why this kind of thing jumps out at me is really the way, in at least in lucha terms, how masks and titles tend to work in lucha libre. As most of us are aware, there almost seems to be like a more dedicated lineage, or at least a sense of pride that seems to come with not only these masks but also the names. Uh, Growing up, my first real exposure to professional wrestling, as I've said a couple times, wasn't WWE. It was actually WCW in the late 90s. And of course, after all the Hulk Hogan's and Goldberg's, the next thing I remember the most was the Luchadors. And one of the standout stars in that division was a younger Rey Mysterio Jr., which is how I was not Rey Mysterio, it was Rey Mysterio Jr. And I also saw names like La Parka, who now goes by LA Park, and apparently his son or something is the new La Parka. Same thing with uh, so many others, Viano, Blue Demon, even El Santo. His son took up the mantle when the original El Santo passed away. So whenever I hear a name like that, I know that it isn't just a random name out of nowhere. It is a title that is bestowed. Like there's a greater sense of pride and legacy to it. And when it comes to the greatest luchadors of all time, I really don't think there's very many that match the legacy that Rey Mysterio Jr. has set. And it's not without picking up the mantle set by his family members of the originators of the Rey Mysterio name. This is not, to me, is not just a legacy from Lucha Libre royalty, but it is the legacy and roots of one of the all-time greats to ever do it. And even though we've never seen any of his matches yet, I'm sure there's got to be footage out there somewhere, especially after this. I think this is all going to lead to us and so many other fans going back in the archives and seeing the true roots of the Rey Mysterio name. Is this all making sense?
I mean, I couldn't have said it more beautifully, Scholar Jeff, but it's true. Like, it's the lucha libre culture and the Mexican culture with the mask and just being very symbolic of passing it to their children or not being seen or unmasked in the ring. We all remember when Rey Mysterio got unmasked in WCW, and then to come back to WWE, he had to go and ask to put the mask back on. So it's pride with this culture, and like you said, the Mysterios, one of the most famous, I would say, there. And it's to what they've produced between Rey Mysterio Jr. to Dominic Mysterio and what they're doing. Like the name is just living strong, but it's a moment to remember this man, Rey Mysterio's uncle, who, helped pave the way for them to do what they're doing today. And like I said, my condolences to Mysterio family.
For sure, for sure. But it need not be all doom and gloom. It need not be all a time of mourning, because we did get some very interesting news on the AEW front. Because there was some clarification this week regarding the new batch of AEW programming that's going to be airing on Max. Specifically, we got details that the entire AEW library of pay-per-views, of dynamites, are all going to be gradually rolled out as soon as January kicks off. Over time, gradually, we're going to get all the dynamites, all the pay-per-views, everything. The big complaint that I always had about AEW is that we couldn't go back and rewatch the replays easily enough. This seems to be solving that issue. I'm not sure if that's going to include Ring of Honor shows, but hey, this is enough. And it seems like that are also the only problem is that they're still working on the final price points for the discounted AEW shows. So we'll have to see how that's going to work. But even so, this is, as an AEW faithful ever since the very beginning, this is very, very exciting news.
I mean, 100%, very exciting news. And the one thing I will say about Max, like, especially they have the relationship they have with TBS and then TNT. You know, all the time when I go on my Max app, I see hockey games, basketball games. I'm able to watch because they're affiliated Max and TBS and TNT. So it was only a matter of time until AEW came a knocking, and they came knocking hard. And like you said, my tag team partner. It makes perfect sense to have here's our back catalog of everything that we've done, rolling out like all those old dynamites with when it was just top in the beginning and everybody was just going out there putting on their best game faces, living up those moments to now having it where it's coming into the future where we can watch it weekly. It's absolutely astounding and I'm so excited for this to really take off and see how this I feel can reach more of a fandom and a fan base out there because scrolling through HBO you see AEW Dynamite on. Well, you know what? Let me put this on. Let me see. You get a colorful character. You get a Will Ospreay match. How are you not going to be looking and then looking at past matches? It's a great move. I can't wait to see it come to fruition in January. Sign me up.
Absolutely. And I think I found also another article from, I believe, Variety, something about in an article about like, oh yeah, so who are the top movers and shakers in the sports industry? Apparently, in a Variety article, Tony Khan made that not only made that list, but according to what they calculated, AEW is now between all their new renewed max deal and all that stuff. The company is now valued at about $2 billion, which places them as the third biggest combat sporting company in the country.
Behind probably WWE and UFC.
Hmm.
Bingo bongo. But still, it's like
Still, hey,
for me that's a little bit of a feather in the cap as a longtime AEW supporter. Like, yeah, I know AEW has its issues. Who doesn't? But at the same time, it's like AEW, for all of its shortcomings, whatever you want to call it, they're not going away anytime soon. They got, they're still a profitable company right now. And hey, as long as more people, more great wrestlers get to do their thing and provide more great wrestling on TV, hey, I fail to see how that's anything but a great thing.
I mean, it's 100% a great thing. And like I said, with the role that WWE is on right now, with just the storylines, and obviously we're going to get into our reactions to Raw this past week momentarily. But I mean, WWE is just hitting on all cylinders. It's getting ready for their Netflix deal. Like everything's on high gear. So of course, and the UFC, being a UFC fan myself, is just to me an amazing sport. So for AEW to be right there, and you said it's my tag team partner, like everybody has their role, but they have the matches. They just have to figure out a couple of things and just make it where it's it's it just grips you where I need to watch this every week. But for them to be, like I said, number three, good on them. Let's go. Fucking drive it home, boys.
Yeah, I definitely have more extended thoughts on what AEW is going to get up to next year. And I'll save that for our year-end show next week. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, tune in. But before we move on, I do have a brief Scholars Quick Talk for all of you. Now that AEW's back catalog is going to be going on HBO Max, is there a match in particular you would like to revisit at any point? And if so, what is that match?
I would probably go back to the Danielson Swerve match.
That's a good one for sure.
It's just mainly just on account of like when you're discussing who do you see as like the top people that you could put as like the face of your promotion of AEW in particular, it would be Swerve Strickland, Hangman Adam Page, and Will Ospreay. Those who I would pick as my top three superstars. And just looking back at the Danielson Swerve match, it would pretty much just show that Swerve is a legit star in this company, and Danielson worked his ass to get him into that position of just, oh yeah, you hit me with a running knee, a move that's taken out people like John Cena and all that, and Swerve just gets right back up and just be like, dust it off. That's just the sign of just like, oh, this is one of your big names of your company. So that would be one. That's one match in particular. Just to get a refresher on why Swerve Strickland is in the position where he is now.
Uh, that's a good. I like it, Scott. It's arc. I'm gonna go with the tag team of the Young Bucks versus Penta and Phoenix in the cage, and that just
Mm.
brutal and fantastic matchup. I mean, I'm not one for a tag team wrestling. Like I enjoy it, like, but you need to wow me. And whenever Penta and Phoenix go against the Young Bucks, they put on a show. And when they were in the cage, I mean, the moments, everything, the boots with it just with the tacks and just every moment was just a great. It was my favorite match of that year, and that's probably I would watch again and again because by God, what a match!
I'm a bit of a gore hound, so the two matches I honestly would want to see first is the Chris Jericho versus Nick Gage match on Dynamite that one time, or that one Stadium Stampede match where Eddie Kingston comes out all bloody like he's and with the gas can like he's gonna light someone on fire. Just the kind of stuff that you would not easily see on WWE TV. I want to go back and see one of those like very unique, distinct matches in AEW's recent history. The stuff that really sets it apart. Just stuff like that. Stuff that's memorable and you just want to revisit again and again. The stuff that makes AEW unique and distinct and fun. That's the kind of stuff I want to revisit. And that's the stuff I'm looking forward to. But speaking of distinct and AEW, there is one other thing we do need to touch on. As a time that we're recording this, we are recording on Friday, December 20th, which means that tonight, right now, is happening Ring of Honor Final Battle 2024. The main event of which being Chris Jericho defending the Ring of Honor Championship against one and only Matt Cardona, who is finally making yet another appearance with AEW, or appearances as the case may be. He is going for the title tonight, and it was just reported earlier on this evening that Matt Cardona has been offered an official AEW contract. So really now the question, or the questions plural, for all of us now is A, is Matt Cardona going to win the ROH title at Final Battle? And do we think that Matt Cardona is going to be signing the AEW contract? And we'll see tomorrow morning. Will we see tomorrow morning the graphic that says Matt Cardona is all elite? What say you?
Woo, woo, woo! You know it.
Zack
You will,
Ryder is dead. Rest in
but
peace, Zack Ryder.
Matt Cardona is very much alive, and he will be your champion. And I believe he is going to be in AEW. I think he's done doing the indie scene. I think he was probably offered a nice little paycheck, and I think he's ready to do some time in AEW, especially with this Max deal. Like I said, I feel I said it just moments ago. Just what HBO Max as a whole does as a streaming service, I think is fantastic. And with their live content versus and what they'll do with the Vault for AEW, I mean, incredible. So I feel, like I said, I feel like he's coming in, he's getting a contract, he's winning the belt, and we're gonna see this new era of good old Matty Boy, and you know it.
Scholar Tarek, what do you think about this whole Matt Cardona situation? What's going to go down tonight?
I could with like what Pete said, because of the new Max deal, which my my view on it, I'm just now just waiting on when we can get the live shows on it. Of course, like I won't always go back to watching past stuff. Like if anything, I'll probably go back to watch a whole like all the Will Ospreay matches that that he went through this past year alone because like what we said before, just him alone could have a match of the year list all on his own.
For sure,
He'll have
Matt, that
five
was probably one of the
nominations
best
himself.
signings that they did in a long time.
Oh, I yeah. Again, he's so humble that he doesn't want to be world champion, but Jesus Christ, give that man the title.
Neither did Darby Allin, but the
Oh well,
writing's
yeah,
on the wall there.
yeah. We'll talk about that when we talk about the results of the Continental Classic so far. Um, but do I see Matt Cardona signing a contract for AEW? In order to like get some stars in, yeah, sure, he could. I wouldn't be also be surprised if he didn't. Ugh, excuse me. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't. But it's what more else can you do in the independent scene? He's already made it clear he does want to go back to WWE at some point before his career is over, just to make up for a good portion of those Zack Ryder years. Um, do I see him winning the title tonight? Yes and no, but I mean, as of right now, for me, anyone's better than Chris Jericho as Ring of Honor World Champion. It's not like he's actually really bringing people to downloading the like Ring of Honor app and watch all their content anyway. So I'm okay with either. But I it would be a good win for AEW if they got Matt Cardona.
And I think for all those reasons and more, I think that AEW should absolutely sign Matt Cardona. And frankly, I think Cardona should take the deal unless it's a really stupid deal and he gets horrifically underpaid for some weird reason. Because
Oh,
I'm looking at the what he's been up to recently and how his usual act has been going. I feel like, again, I could be totally wrong on this. If anyone's watching this and feels differently, by all means, drop us a comment. But I feel like lately, as of the time of this recording, Matt Cardona has sort of lost a little bit of momentum lately. I feel like his act is sort of like not necessarily gone stale, but it looks like it might be rounding that corner. Couple the fact that, I his normal running buddy Steph Delander has been out and away for a little while. I feel like the next necessary move, if for no other reason than to refresh his character a bit, give him new exposure, give him new challenges, new matches, all that stuff. I feel like it would be good for him in that regard. But also, if he still has that notion to go back to WWE at some point, if he can, honestly, I think the thing to make him even more appealing to WWE if he doesn't want to end up going back there at some point would be to keep increasing his stock at their biggest competitor in the States at this point. They get Matt Cardona, in my mind, gets to increase his stock. AEW gets a great new signing. And if the rumors are to be believed, Ring of Honor as a brand gets a fresh new champion that a lot of people in the mainstream know, which could make Ring of Honor more appealing to whoever wants to pick them up for a TV deal, which is supposedly the whole reason why they put the belt on Chris Jericho again to begin with, which we really
Uh,
didn't touch upon at the moment. But yes, that supposedly is the whole reason they're doing it in an attempt to woo a TV deal with somebody somewhere.
all right, update. Looks like Commander won the World TV Championship in
Oh, there you
the
go. Boom.
beating Brian Cage, Willie Mack, Mark Davis, AR Fox, and Blake Christian.
It's funny. I'm actually watching. I've got, while we're recording this, I've got Rampage on in the background here, and now I'm watching Commander wrestle Brody King and watching him get thrown around by big Brody King over there. So it's like, huh, what a difference time dilation makes.
And more like, oh, yeah, Rampage is. It's like, well, that just assures Rampage is not live, which we all knew that already. But it's just funny to think about.
Hey, as long as all the wrestlers I like and even the wrestlers I don't like get to have the week off for Christmas and they're still wrestling on my TV, I really don't give a damn.
Hmm. Well,
Which
I think
reminds
that's
me, we'll probably have we'll probably have wrestling on Christmas night. All right.
well, it's probably it's most likely a pre-show. I mean, like, I don't think
Of
anyone's.
course it is. No, that's not. There's
Yeah,
no way that's gonna be live. But even
from what
so, it's like, yeah.
even from what I read, even WWE is next week's Raw is a pre-taped show.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
Different
very intrigued on
times.
what they're gonna do there. Hopefully Gunther shows up.
Honestly, as long as there's wrestling on my TV this week, that's all I care about. And especially if it's in the wrestler's favor, it's like eating something healthy that tastes good and you know it's good for you too. It's like everybody wins.
Hmm.
But anyway, speaking of WWE, and actually, we did want to touch upon the latest happenings in the Continental Classic before we move on, because a certain someone here has been really hyping up Darby Allin versus Will Ospreay in the Continental Classic tournament.
I mean, how do you not hype it up? I
The
mean,
only
this is,
reason I can't is because I got home late that night and I missed seeing it live. But
I mean,
man, I want to see
watch the
it.
highlights. I mean, what a performance between these two gentlemen. It shows why that Will Ospreay should just be nominated for every fucking match of the year at this point. Like Scholar Tarek and I have discussed and shared with you, my tag team partner. I mean, it is bonkers how good this man is, how giving this man is, how amazing the matches he has with different people in this company, and just the match itself with the moves and the speed, the agility, the quickness, and it gave you the moments. It hit, and it's always what I say to you, gentlemen. It's what I say to the fans here is you all know that I always have WWE in the heart. My tag team partners, falling asleep over there, but it's fine because I will
I yawned
represent.
once when the camera was not on me. Shut
Listen, I'm there to
SmackDown,
support.
shut your mouth, sir.
Sir, I'm there to
Here comes the
support my
pain,
Scholars of
jackass.
Wrestling champion. I'm just saying, you know. But like at the end of the day, the match was absolutely fantastic. It's what I love about AEW. It's the matches, and we said it before. This, what a slam dunk signing, Will Ospreay. Go watch a highlight video. Find it on YouTube. Find it soon in the archives. Give yourself a give your eyes a treat for this match.
And here's yet while we're on it, let's do one more Scholars quick talk if we could. Now that we're still talking about the Continental Classic, Scholars Quick Talk, who do you think is going to end up winning the thing in the end?
Let's
I'll tell you
see.
right now, I think at the rate we're going, I think it's going to be Darby Allin is going to win the thing, and that's going to be the thing that ends up kicking off his path to the title. Unless I'm misremembering how the actual title shot system works, and it actually isn't like New Japan or WWE, in which case I just screwed myself over, but whatever. I'm going to go with Darby here.
I
I
mean,
think.
uh,
Oh, you go ahead, sir.
thank you, Scholar Talk. I agree. I mean, like you said, it's his path to the title. I think performances alone have just shown that he is the guy since day one. I still remember promos from back in AEW where he goes like, I slept in my car, man. Like this is real to me. And you felt this kid who just wanted to give his all, like a Mick Foley. Like he's the Mick Foley of AEW for me, where he's just this
That's actually a really
crazy.
good analogy. That's a good
Thank
one.
you. You know what? Remember, Scholar Jeff, because of me, you are the champion. I mean, but
I hereby rescind that good analogy, but
no, and
continue if you must.
I joke around my tag team partner, of course, that we have that relationship, unlike, Scholar Tark and his tag team partner who's missing in action. But Darby Allin is the Mick Foley, I feel, of AEW. And it's it's the moment where he's going to have that rock mankind where it's going to be like, oh, here's Darby Allin's big moment. And will his title reign be glorious? Not to be the Robert Roode of this conversation, but I think like, man, how does he not win this classic off the performance he had, and how does he not come out as the OG AEW star to be a champion? Like, put your guys who were there, put your Orange Cassidy, not saying that he's going to be champ, but put these guys in the forefront who's been with you since day one, who's made AEW a name because it's not just big hulking guys, it's personalities. But that's that's my thoughts. But thank you for the kind words, Scholar Jeff. I appreciate.
Scholar Tarek, who do you think is going to walk away with the Continental Classic crown?
I'm actually looking through the ranking. I'm actually looking through the league right now, and I've like the blue league. Like the finals of that match is going to definitely be Kyle Fletcher versus Okada. As much, yeah, Mark Briscoe, Shelton Benjamin, and Daniel Garcia, and the Beast Mortos is out. At least that's how I feel. As for the Gold League, the Gold League is much more interesting because just four people have 6 points, with Darby, Claudio Castagnoli, Ricochet, and Will Ospreay all have 6 points. Hmm. It's like now it's also the question, do I want to see like a Will Ospreay Kyle Fletcher rematch for the final in the finals, or Will Ospreay Okada match?
Hmm. Good question. Good question. This is the kind of thing where that's making me think, as much as I like Darby, I really do think that there's a chance that I absolutely do. I'm spoiler for next week. One of my predictions is I'm convinced that Darby Allin is going to win the AEW title next year. But that being said, that does not necessarily mean that he's going to end up winning the Continental Classic, although I think it helps his chances. So it really comes down to, okay, if it's not Darby, it could very well also be Will Ospreay, and we get a return match with Kyle Fletcher in the end. That's also a possibility.
I think because Darby is gonna is because I agree. I think he's gonna be world champion next year. I think he'll be the person who takes the title off Moxley. So I think in the end, I'm gonna go with Will Ospreay to wi at least win the gold, at least the gold league. But yeah, it's really just that big question on where does the blue league aim? And it's either Kyle Fletcher or Okada. Who do I want to who am I predicting to win the whole thing? Uh hmm. I'll just I'll just go with it and I just say give it to Will Ospreay. I mean, he's for the past couple of months, he's been working his ass off putting people over in this company from your Kyle Fletchers to your Darby Allens to your Swerve Stricklands. I think this is basically him getting his reward for being such a humble person, getting helping getting these names over with the AEW crowds. So yeah, I'll go with Osprey.
All right, I'm not gonna argue that one. But anyway, finally moving on from AEW, we can't close out without touching on the latest happenings on WWE television, specifically Monday Night Raw, because
Beforehand, what would you give
yes,
Saturday Night Main Event facial hair? Just a
oh
quick
yes, of
facial hair
course, how
rating.
dare I? Saturday night's main event, I'm going to give it a solid 3 out of 5. Very strong classic goatee. Again, like we were sort of joking around about, it was pretty much more or less what we were expecting, but it was still a delight to see on network television, such as it is. But really, it's not even that it was bad, it was just sort of predictable. It was what it needed to be, but it was still a pleasure to watch in the end. My te-
You know what? I'm for the show, I'll give it 3, but just because of Jesse the Body Ventura and just the stuff that he said on that show, I'm gonna give
oh,
it a 4.
he
He's
did not care at all. He was
he
just
was a
running his
highlight of
mouth.
that. He was a highlight of that show, and I loved every single second of it. Just saying his snakeskin coat. I told like everyone on the our scholars chat this. Him saying his snakeskin coat is from Jake the Snake, Robert Snake, Damien. I was just like, oh,
I skinned Damien.
that was awesome. Oh my God. I'm just like, just oh, please, I can't wait for you to come back, body. Oh, just
He's
another
slow.
appearance. Oh, please. I missed him on TV.
He slowed down a little bit, but he's still very much Jesse Ventura. And supposedly we got him for at least 3 more shows next year, according to what he's been saying. That he's
Well,
being
I think
brought
that's
in
what
for
his
3 more Saturday Night's Main Event specials.
I think that was just a part of his new Legends contract.
Yeah, something like that.
So
Like he's
all
bringing
it
brought in
I'm
for a
all
certain
in.
amount of things. But hey, if it
He'll be
means
a
more of
DLC
that,
character soon for TK for not TK
2K to
2K
2K25 probably.
Two, most likely I could see him being a downloadable character.
Yeah, especially now that everyone's playing nice once again.
It's because Vince isn't there.
You're
That's
not
a
supposed to say the quiet part out loud, even though we're all thinking it.
oh, it's not quiet at all. Because everyone knows that. Everyone knows the truth. Piece of garbage, Vince McMahon.
And the world was happy to be rid of him.
Hmm.
Anyway, before we move on, Scholar Pete, what rating would you give for Saturday Night's Main Event?
I join in a 3 out of 5. Very like, at the end of the day, the matches were what was to be expected. I mean, I feel like this was the appetizer to the main course that's going to be the Raw on Netflix.
For sure. And
Noted. Gunther getting a dominant victory was the biggest highlight of that show for me. That and the Winged Eagle belt. I'm very happy they
that
brought that.
too, very much so. And really, like I think you touched on it. There's really a lot of most of wrestling right now, at least this time of year, is really gearing up for the fresh new year to come, not just for the Royal Rumbles and the World's End shows, but also for everyone's new distribution, both on Max and on Netflix, because WWE is really loading up that first Monday Night Raw card on Netflix. And really, a lot of what we saw this week on Raw was leading up to that. Just
Mhm.
big matches, really big promos. We even got the War Raiders winning the Raw tag team titles, which for some reason I just never occurred to that's what we were going to end up seeing. But damn it if it's not welcome.
I'm just really back to getting disappointed that Finn Balor is just. I know they have that rumor that he's gonna get a big singles push next year, but until we get that, he's still pinned Balor. He gets pinned on Saturday. He gets pinned on main event, and he gets pinned to lose the tag team titles. Oh boy. Oh, it's just sad to see. But at this point, I'm still super ecstatic that they again had Gunther win in a dominant fashion to basically end this bullshit storyline of him questioning his confidence. But yeah, I guess nothing really else to say. I'm looking forward to like there's the uh Punk and Seth, the Tribal Combat, the Drew Sammy rematch. Was there any specific stipulation added to that?
Oh boy, not that I can, not that I can recall right now. Honestly, for me, so much of the show was based around just like the absolute killer promos that we got.
Oh yes, absolutely. The press conference that was at the new WWE headquarters. That was actually a fun watch. I
Rhea
watched the
Ripley has just been on fire with her promos lately. At the press conference,
I love
I
you
love
too,
you
small
too, small
child.
child. And
and
then
I love
on
you, random citizen. That's the
and
vibe
then
I
on
got from
and then
that.
on Raw, she used the phrase "chicken tender slut," which I never thought I would ever gonna be hearing outside of a meme. Like, oof.
I think just the fact that Dominic Mysterio is just his biggest highlight is just how much he just loves chicken tenders and chicken nuggets. It's just gone to the point of just hilarious right now.
Absurdity.
I like it just stems back from that one video all those months ago. We have Finn Balor and Damian Priest. It's like who's the most picky eater out of the Judgment Day? Dom, because all he wants is chicken tenders. It's like he's a child, and I love it.
Chicken tenders from a muscle mommy. Hey,
I'll
the
take it.
universal language.
Yeah, right. Oh, but again, as long for that's the match I'm looking forward to the least. Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. At this point, I'm just like, okay, have this be the end. Have this be the end on January 6th. The quicker the better. I'm actually now really looking forward to the thought of Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley at Mania for the title. But that's questioning whether or not she actually wins this Intercontinental Championship tournament because apparently she was replacing Kyrie Zane. Spoiler for the pre-taped Raw. She won her match, so it's the question on like, oh, are they just gonna take her out of the world title picture and just have her be the first Intercontinental Champion? But me personally, I actually want to just see her go for Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania for the world title. Have Io win the Rumble.
Yeah, I feel like the women's world championship or both Royal Rumbles this year are gonna be really, really interesting because there's a much bigger crowd of potential winners here, at least as far as the men's is. But hey, I'm getting ahead of myself. we still have a lot of show to get through and a lot of trash talk to sit through. And really, even though there's a lot of pre-tapes here, everyone involved is really putting in a whole lot of work, especially the CM Punk Seth Rollins promo, which they're finally continuing on with. I'll tell you what, I'm gotta be honest here. I have not been the biggest CM Punk fan lately, but I am really surprised when it comes to talking people into a building. Punk and Rollins absolutely know how to do it. But at the same time, I'm at the point where I'm just like, you know what? Dang it. I just want to just get to the match already.
I
At
mean,
this point, yeah.
yeah, get to the match, but you can't. I did like how they did the promo, where they were at opposite sides and then they were chasing each other through the arena. They were getting through the arena, going through the crowd. And I just thought it just added to these guys just hate each other. And it's time for them to throw hands. It's time for them to be the main event of Raw on Netflix, the first show, because like you said, my tag team partner, he that it's it those guys can talk a room in, and with just how they are, how Seth freaking Rollins has just become so much more of a performer, so much more of a wrestler, not taking away his his career at all, but just growing as a in the business, and understanding, and now coming to Punk, and then them like at the end of the day looking and being like, yeah, we hate each other, but let's do what's best for business. This is Matt Hardy versus Edge. It's like these guys hate each other, but let's make it work for business. And I think that this is a great idea to have it be the main event. And give me one more where Punk, give me like that contract signing next week on Raw, if there is, or whatever it may be, and give it so okay, that next week it's on. But I thought the segment was perfect with them being broken up and then just finding ways to get to each other, going through the crowd, going through there. It just show it's something new, fresh, and it's not them talking, it's more action, which we haven't seen until recently. So that's where I stand on that one.
Very good. Any other closing thoughts on this past week in WWE programming?
For the love of God, WWE, please do not make a tribal chief championship. We have the Ula Fala. That's all that we need. We don't need it to be another goddamn championship. I don't know if anyone else saw those rumors about them making a like a bloodline championship.
I did not.
Don't do it. No tribal chief champion. I don't care if it's just like, oh, it's just so we can have Roman have another title around it. I don't care.
No, I
We
don't
don't need
see
a.
it happening.
It's dumb. The people's championship title is just as dumb. You itchy foot. Uh,
To be fair,
the
that's not even a title. That's just a belt that The Rock is carrying around because it's The Rock and he does what he wants.
hey, him and Cody hinted at fighting for that one day. Let's hope that doesn't happen, but they've
I
hinted
highly
at it.
doubt it.
For the board of directors title belts.
That's what pretty much what it is. The board of directors champion.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, don't put that evil out in the universe, please.
It's already there.
The fighting over the Ulafala is good enough. Just you got a good thing, WWE. Just please, just leave it at that, and just let it slide and enjoy your bathing in your pile of money.
Right?
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
The
That's really all I
reality of
got
the
left to say.
fact is, you have two more Raws until the Raw on Netflix comes out, and WWE, you got 2 weeks to make this possibly the biggest Raw ever, especially with the debut on Netflix. Let's just hope that Netflix stops, doesn't need to buffer every 5 seconds.
Yeah, as I have to say, maybe hopefully the Netflix servers don't crash with how many people are going to be watching this.
It's gonna crash. That's my
Oh, it's going to
worry.
crash hard.
It's gonna be a disaster.
I don't even think it's going to crash at all. I think the feed is going to be just fine because as good as Monday Night Raw is going to be, there's no way on earth it's going to be pulling in Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson numbers. That's the only reason it went down.
You never know.
Listen, CM Punk is Mike Tyson, and Seth Rollins is Logan Paul, and it's the future.
Oh, come on.
Did they
CM Punk is
confirm?
that old.
Did they confirm that is going to be the main event, or because I heard
Yes.
also just reports that it could be Roman Solo could close Raw. I'm hoping for Punk Rollins, even though it's just someone pointing that out. It's like, oh, a member of the Samoan family taking CM Punk's main event away again.
Oh, I would honestly be really surprised if the main event wasn't Roman and Solo and then The Rock comes back to interfere. If they're pulling out all the stops for their first Raw on Netflix,
Well, Raw
I I'm convinced that The Rock is going to make an appearance, and that's
isn't it
why they're going to be in the
confirmed?
main event.
I think it's
I
confirmed
didn't
he's gonna be
hear
there.
any. I didn't hear any confirmations one way or the other. That's just me intuitively thinking, yeah, if they're pulling out all the stops, they're rolling out the red carpet for everybody. To me, it just makes sense that they would trot The Rock out for an appearance. I mean, he made an appearance at Bad Blood for crying out loud. He can show up on a big Netflix deal.
Exactly, and that's what it's just hyping up the Netflix. That's what these next two Raws are going to be. It's hyping up the January 6th show.
But be that as it may, those are our predictions or these are our insights, not just our predictions, but our insights from this past week in wrestling and where we're going to be going next. But now is the time in our show where we turn it over to you, our fellow fans. Who do you think is going to win the Continental Classic? Is Ring of Honor ever going to get a new TV deal? What else is going to happen on the WWE side of things? No matter what you think, we want to know from you. We want to know what you think all across the internet, YouTube comments, Facebook posts. And of course, as always, you can join in the conversation with us personally on Twitter. Scholar Tarek, where can he reach you?
You can reach me being very sad that they're retiring the X Division Championship on TNA at the Avatar.
Hmm. I actually haven't heard that. Scholar Pete, where can he reach you?
I hope our fans and everybody has a happy holidays, and they can find me at Improv Pete.
And as always, you can also check me out at I'm Robbie Rage. And for all of these relevant social media links and much, much more, you can always check us out at our link tree in the description box below. That's linktree/scholars of wrestling. And with that, that is our show. But we will be back next week because next week it's going to be our best of and worst of 2024. That's right. It's the Scully Awards, our year end awards show. And we're going to be back here to cover it all, the best and worst of the world of professional wrestling of 2024. We're going to be back to cover it all because you know who we are. We are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're
You're
welcome.
welcome.
See you all for the year end award show. Until then, sayonara.